Hi everyone, this is Elena Kraus and welcome to another card video. This video is part of a video blog hub for the new Caterpillar release, Hello Sunshine. So let's get started. In this video I will show you how to do some fall layering technique, and I'm using a couple new products from the Hello Sunshine release. I'm using sunshine flowers along with the fitted frames dies. So I have cut a mask from the frames along with two of the sunflowers that we'll be using for that fall layering technique. So we're going to be doing some masking using die cuts actually. So let's get started. So I'm using a stamp positioning tool, and what I'll do, I'll put my mask on top so I can position where I want to be the sentiment to be. We'll stamp this at the end, but I just want to make sure that I have enough space in the middle of that panel. The panel measures 4 by 5.25, and it's a Caterpillar Premium White Cardstock. So I'm positioning that sunflower on the top left corner. Then I'll use Midnight ink to stamp it. So the Midnight ink is archival, as well as it's Copic or any alcohol marker friendly, and as well as waterproof. So you can use it for any coloring technique, as well. It's very nice and intense black color. So I'm stamping a few panels for few, like usually when I'm making a card, I stamp few extra images for future use. So that's what I'm doing here, but we'll just use one of them for the card that we'll make today. Or as well, I stamp more than one in case I mess one up, or I have the tendency of smearing ink onto my white cardstock. And then actually what happened to one of the those panels after I was done making my card. So next I'm putting it onto craft mat, and I'm positioning that outline mask for the sunflower. So this way I know it's perfectly centered there, and then inside I'll adhere that sunflower mask that was made out of the die cut. So we'll have a little white frame around it. That's why I'm using the negatives from the masks to position that. So we have that frame is equal on every side of the image. So I was looking at here backwards, so I just turn it around. And got it there, and I'll adhere that mask on top. So before I move on, I just wanted to make sure, as I said, that in the beginning this is part of a video hub, so please read the description of this YouTube video to see who is the previous and the next stop in this hub, as well all the details about giveaways and this new release. So next, adhere the two sunflower masks, and I'm adhering that frame mask. And I'll be using three inks. So Juniper Mist, It's a Boy, and All That Jazz to do some ink blending. So I'm using the life-changing brushes to do the ink blending, but you can use any blending tool you have, like the mini blending tools or sponges or stencil brushes. Whatever you feel more comfortable with. So I'm just applying ink. I want it nice and dark color, so I'm applying a lot of ink there and blending it in, and then going back and forth with the dark and the light inks. So I have nice and gradient transition between the dark and the light color. So I'm almost done here. So now where the magic happens, I'm removing that mask, and you can see that nice frame. As well, I removed the mask from the sunflowers, so you can see how they kind of pop out, and they're not die cut images, but they're just masked out. Next, what I'm doing is I'm coloring those sunflowers using some alcohol based markers, and I'm not doing some rocket science coloring. I'm just quickly coloring and blending in the sunflowers, the petals, and the middles. So here I kind of skipped a bunch so you don't watch me color for 15 minutes. And again, as I said, I am just doing some basic coloring. I'm doing orange and brown. For the brown is for the center of the flowers, of course. So I'm just adding little dots in the middle and just blending it in. So now we're done. I'm gonna quickly zap this with my heat tool because we'll do some embossing. We'll stamp the sentiment and emboss it in white, so I didn't want it to make sure that the ink blended area in the middle is nice and dry. As well, before I stamp, because I have darker cardstock wallpaper, I use the anti-static powder tool and then stamped with VersaMark ink. Next I'm using some white embossing powder to add on top of my sentiment, and then we'll just heat set that one. So make sure that you flick off the excess embossing powder so you have the embossing powder sticking only to the stamped area. So I'm using here, as I said, my heat tool to melt that embossing powder. So next we'll just finish our card. I'm using Midnight cardstock as my card base. I cut it down to 4 1/4 by 11 and then I scored at 5 1/2 and fold it in half. I'll be using some black fun foam to pop that panel onto my card base. I'm using black because the card base is black, but you can use as well white because your top layer is white, so it doesn't really matter which color you use. So I'm using some liquid adhesive. This one gives me a little bit more wiggle room to make sure that that panel is nice and lined up onto my card base. So put some acrylic block on top, making sure that everything kind of dries flat. And to finish off my card, I'm adding some clear Nuva drops. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and as I said in the middle of the video, please read the instructions in the description of this YouTube video for your what is your next stop in this video hub, and where you should be coming from, or just start from the beginning. Thanks for watching, and see you soon in another video. Bye!